Hello everybody and welcome back to Writing the Rapids, the show where I, Bielecki, talk to writers about writing. Very often those writers have been recommended to me by people who have previously been on the show, or it's a Rejoinder episode, which this is. Here once again joined by the one only Charlene Elsby to talk about her new book, Poor Damned Souls, out through Marigold Independent. You'll remember Charlene, no doubt, from our conversations about violent faculties, The Devil Thinks I'm Pretty, The Organization is Here to Support You, Bedlam, Psychros, Red Flags and Other Stories, and more. And before we get into our conversation with Charlene, let us remind you that you can support this show over at patreon.com/noisemakerjoe. For just $2 a month, you get these episodes a little bit earlier than everybody else. If money isn't a thing you have to contribute, lend your voice to the chorus. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It makes me sick to say it, but it truly does help. Otherwise, just tell 2 or 3 friends about this. Find someone who hasn't listened to the show or hasn't listened in a long time and encourage them to do so. Now, without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Charlene. This is like your what? Like your 25th book?
Oh God, I think it's the 10th book,
Okay.
like novels and novellas or short story collections.
Nice. 10's a big number.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. This one was really fun. I mean, like, your novels are always, I think people say things like that. They're like, oh, they're fun, but they're so messed up and so screwy. This one really doesn't explode into a cacophony of violence until like right at the very end. I liked how the book itself, like the cover and the back cover, kind of just told you what was going to happen, so that you could just enjoy the ride. I'm curious, like, I feel like the cultural argument about spoilers is kind of really calmed down, and everyone just kind of has kowtowed to the people complaining about spoilers. But like, where were you on that, like, in that battle?
Yeah, it crossed my mind. And like, I didn't know how to describe the book without giving away the things that are going to happen. Like, that's the hook.
Yeah.
She thinks he's cheating, but he's a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
But she's the worst psycho. That's the whole hook. Like, if I don't have those second 2 descriptors, then I've just got like, oh yeah, there's a woman and she's paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't give you enough information.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I dig it. I thought she was a really interesting character. She does kind of the thing that a lot of your characters do, where she is in a legitimately crummy situation, and will often apply systemic reasoning to her crummy situation that is like not entirely true, or like not entirely like the full story, which I have grown more and more comfortable with, especially with this one, because it's like you kind of catch her in lies every now and again. Like, she'll complain about her husband, like, oh, he only wants to have like 8 minutes of missionary, and then later she's like, oh, we did anal in a hotel at a conference.
Oh yeah.
Or like you literally see him asking her to flip over at one point, and it's like, okay, well, like, hold on there, kid. Lady, you're telling me, like, it's not even necessarily like a slip up, because she presents those 2 things, it feels to me, in the same sort of like complaint tone, where it's like, oh, he only ever wants to have sex this way. Oh God, now he's asking me to have sex this way. And you're like, wait a minute, what are we complaining about? It's not that, it's something else.
Yeah. Have you noticed this, being a human, that we're going to complain no matter what? So like, she's going to generalize in the one instance and complain about a routine, and then she's going to complain if that routine is ever broken. Like, she's really negative.
Mm-hmm. She
Mm-hmm.
is.
She's kind of hilarious and
Mm-hmm.
absurd, but like she's mean too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I will catch myself doing that. Like, you take other people's behavior and you overgeneralize it and then reduce it, and you're like, oh, so and so always does this. And even though there are obvious counterexamples that you can bring to mind at any given moment, doesn't mean like you're gonna forget that overgeneralization that you use to reduce and critique other people.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we're dicks, I
Yeah.
think. Hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're miserable.
Yeah.
She's miserable, and she has reason to be miserable.
Hmm.
Um, and not all of those reasons for her misery are her fault. But a lot of them are. And it was interesting thinking about it afterward, letting the book marinate for a couple of days between finishing it and now. And I found myself getting too Protestant work ethic for comfort, where it's like, girl, you put in all this work. You're waking up early. You're learning tech stuff. You're putting stuff, you're sneaking around. You're multitasking at work. You're doing time theft. Like, what if you just tried a little bit harder to improve your situation?
She focused on all the wrong things.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like take a morning class at the local community college, get your gen eds out of the way. I don't know how college works in Canada. I don't know if you have general education classes that you need to do before your major or whatever. It doesn't matter.
We had those when I was a prof. I know what they are.
Okay. So like, it's just interesting kind of
That would be a terrible book.
I know, right? Yes. And I
A
think
woman
that's
goes to school.
a woman makes the best of a bad situation after getting married too soon and dropping out of school. And I guess like that's kind of the point of art, right? Is you don't want the people to act completely rationally, but you can use their poor decisions as a means of figuring out how to better your own life if you want. Or it can just be pure entertainment. You can just watch a woman descend into madness and have a 40-page gore fest at the end of it.
Yeah, and I think it's completely plausible. Like, people do carry on not improving their situation. They do blame everybody else but themselves until they get to the end. And they do, like, kill people for fun. And we're not presenting the most morally good version of people, but I think it is a pretty accurate version of people.
Yes, I think so too. I can totally see people saying that this is like a good for her book or whatever. And
she's reclaiming her agency.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, she's is
taking control over her own life. She is getting out from under the thumb of her killer husband and taking matters into her own hands.
Yeah.
Taking her power back.
I mean, that is strictly true. One could say that she never does reclaim her agency because the whole entire time, everything she's doing that looks like reclaiming her agency is still very like with a man at the center of everything that she's doing. So she's not like liberating herself from her patriarchal husband until she stabs him to death, I guess. But again, like, all this time that she's investigating him and stuff, she could be learning a hobby or joining a book club or something. I mean, like, it's kind of ridiculous to be like, oh, you should have just like focused on yourself or whatever, because she was like correct, right? Like, he was absolutely sneaking around. And she doesn't begin suspecting without cause. He sloppily has a push notification on his phone very close to the beginning of the book, and it's like, oh yeah, like absolutely And of course, you read the text on the cover of the book and you know what's going to happen. So it's like, it's not unfair of her to be putting in all this effort.
Right. But you still might consider, like, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? Tell somebody, get a friend. And it's like, but people don't do that, do they?
No. Yeah, they absolutely don't. And that's true. And like, it kind of seems like she doesn't have any friends.
Mhm.
And it kind of seems like her fault that she doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, there's no regulating force there to like bring her back to reality
Mm-hmm.
or give any kind of outside rational opinion on the situation. It is all internal.
Yeah. Um. So we briefly talked about this before we started rolling, but this book comes out on the same day as the anniversary of another one of your books.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. So, I sent this to Sam at Marigold Independent because I was looking for a reason to work with them again after we did Musos in 2022.
Hmm.
That was awesome. And I finally had a book that was right. And I was like, this book is going to come out, like vaguely 4 years after. Let's just do it on the anniversary date. Like, did you read Musos? Did we do
I
Musos?
think Musos is one of the ones I have not read.
Okay, that was a limited release where it was out for 2 months and then it's gone now.
Hmm.
It is gone forever. So I need an excuse to stay in touch with Sam because they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do another book. This is it. This is
Okay, cool. I like that.
a book about friends.
What was Musos? Um,
Musos
yeah.
is about a dude who wakes up and he's convinced that he's going to die that day.
Hmm.
Mhm. And he decides he's going to get in touch with his ex, who he's still in love with, and then instead of that, he murders a stranger he meets on the bus.
What is it about these types of characters that enthralls you so much? Because so many of your characters are kind of this sort of thing where it's like a ensuing incident happens, whether it's my husband's cheating on me, I think I'm going to die, my husband kills himself, violent faculties, I lost my job, right? So you have people who are like, I don't know, I guess average people, maybe a little shittier than average. Thing happens completely off the deep end, but like the thing that happens tends to kind of be these plausible events. Like what is it about the, I don't know, the psychology of it, or the like rationality of it that draws you to writing these types of stories?
Oh, that is deep. How deep does that go? Oh man. I absolutely love the unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. There's a sort of catharsis that comes along with writing the unhinged because you get to play out the scenario and have all the thoughts without actually putting that out into the world. You get to put them in a nice little book. Um, am I trying to understand deviant human behavior? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because it is a thing that is real. Even if I'm not doing it, other people are doing it. And, you run into those people and you wonder why they have done what they have done. Mhm. And it helps to run through the scenario in your mind again and again. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. There's always some autobiography. Like in this one, I used to work at the check cashing
Mm.
center. I remember being a spiteful little person. And you just kind of run with that. until until it goes somewhere you're kind of not allowed to go
Mm-hmm.
as a normal human person living in society. Man,
I like that.
good enough.
That that's plenty. Yeah. Um, I think it reminds me of like a meme screenshotted, I don't know, Twitter, Tumblr conversation or whatever, where someone was like, people who play video games where you're allowed to be evil, why aren't you going down the evil path? And the response is usually like, well, because I actually enjoy helping people or whatever. Like, I can't ever go down the evil path in the role playing games because like I want the imaginary characters to like my imaginary character. Like it's definitely not anything as noble as like my escapist power fantasy is healing the world. Mine is like always choosing the correct dialogue option to make people happy with me. That's my escapist power fantasy.
That seems so much less plausible than mine. Like there are so many people running around murdering, but there are not as many people causing world peace and happiness.
And you only really need the one, right? You only need the one guy. He just needs to figure out how to not get nailed to a tree before he makes it happen. But yeah, like that makes sense to me as a person who, as a teen, was very interested in the Columbine kids and those two guys. I also like that as a writer, like the character-driven path toward the excessive violence. That just, because I have my past of kind of shaking my fist at so-called transgressive writers for like, why are we having all this blood and guts and rape and whatever in our stories? Are we really exploring something, or are we getting off on being able to write it and call it art and have people call us like smart for doing it, right? Like,
I think there are people out there who are doing both of those things. I have been accused of holding a giant mirror up to humanity and making it see its own monstrosity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fun and worthy endeavor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I suppose where I get grumpy about it is like I guess I don't care if you are getting off on writing the violence. Like I think that's fine, right? I'm certainly not opposed to kink in practice. And I suppose being a extreme horror writer is a form of like auto kink. But I guess my grumpiness tends to be where like if that is the only thing and we're not being honest that's the only thing. And this is really less of a thing for me now that I'm not on Twitter. And I just kind of, one, not everybody moved over to Blue Sky or Instagram, and two, I didn't keep following certain voices. So I encounter a lot less of this attitude, this idea that like I'm doing something important because I'm writing about like, I don't know, a bunch of children getting murdered or whatever. I'm mostly just seeing pictures of cats these days. So like, but even still, all of that is to say that like I appreciate the approach you're taking when it comes to. I really liked that answer you gave me 10 minutes ago. That's what I'm saying.
I want to be clear. I'm not in it for the kink. I just want to find some kind of outlet for this all-pervading sense of doom we have for living in the world that's terrible, where everybody sucks. And maybe if we were more, I don't want to say accepting, but just aware. Have you noticed how people like to, myself included, I'm a people, excuse every bit of their own behavior and just like revamp it until it's good?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I try to turn that filter off, and it's like, no, let that terrible flow.
What a gorgeous cat.
This is Alan.
Alan.
He's a bit of a dick, but he's very pretty, and that's why we put up with him.
Man, that's some old school podcasting right there. Is two people talking about something very visual that nobody can see. I love that. I love old school podcasting so much, and I hope that this feels like 2008 podcasting. This show, that is a non sequitur, which is also a very old school podcasting thing.
I like how Alan came just after you mentioned looking at cats all day on Blue Sky.
He was summoned. He knew.
Yeah.
Yes, the idea, the behavioral rationalizing. We should ration our behavior, that's for sure. But behavioral rationalizing is something I see a lot, especially on the short form video content on Instagram, where it seems like every other day there is a new sort of rationalizing that happens. And that's fascinating to me as a person who started reading about Zen in his 20s and just kind of said like, oh yeah, no, that explains it. We're miserable because we have desires, and we do terrible things because we're miserable, because we're trying to achieve our desires. It's season 3 of The White Lotus is what it is. That's kind of like the whole of it for me, right? Like, your protagonist is miserable because her husband, doesn't ever do the dishes, and just drops his Xbox controller everywhere. And I mean, those are small things. Like the big the big issue is that he said, I'm going to get an engineering degree and get a good job, and you won't have to worry about not being able to pay for your expensive school. And then he immediately dropped out. Like, yeah. That to me is where the marriage should have ended, right? Like, and is kind of a funny inversion of the story that I feel like I would hear a lot from men, where it's like, I worked so she could go to medical school so that she could be a doctor, and then she became a doctor and immediately left me, or whatever, became a lawyer and immediately left me. And this is kind of like an inversion of that, where she's supposed to be working so that he can become an engineer, and then he just doesn't, which feels more real. I feel like the I worked you through medical school wife and then you immediately started cheating on me or whatever is probably a less typical thing, even for how much I feel like I heard it as a teen.
Right? I feel like it's a story I heard, but that I have not lived. There were a lot of really high-earning spouses in the philosophy department, and it was the men who were, surviving on part-time contracts and the kindness of their wives' hearts. But there was something you said about, the marriage should have ended there. Let's talk about how people are not just evil, but also really sad and kind-hearted. Because, yeah, maybe the marriage should have ended there, but why wouldn't it?
Mm.
Because we want to believe the best in other people. Because she thinks that maybe even though Scott doesn't do the dishes, there's something worthy in there because she thinks that she doesn't deserve any better.
Mm.
People are sad. People are miserable. You got that. It's with the Zen.
I did get that. Where I don't know, tend to break from you is this idea that like people suck without there being like a because, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my brain, people are absolutely like shitty, clearly, but like they are all like they're shitty because they're miserable, and they're miserable because desires or whatever, right? Like the richest, most powerful people in the world are I don't want to say the most miserable, because like certainly they're not breathing in whatever toxic gas that people in Tehran are breathing in right now, but like Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all those and all their cronies are like absolutely miserable day in and day out. Like, and the more they achieve their goals, the more miserable they are becoming. That's like that is, I guess I can't verify it, but I'd be willing to go on Polymarket and put down money saying that that's a fact, right? Like Elon
We'll
Musk
go back to
was,
philosophy and say they're miserable in their souls,
yeah,
even if they think they're happy.
right.
Diminished little souls.
And again, like that's what White Lotus is about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Miserable rich people who are miserable because they are rich, because they hold on to the richness. So like, but the misery of characters in a Charlene Elsby novel are miserable in large part because of those rich people, right? They are miserable because the reality of being working class or even lower than working class is like, that is a miserable reality. And you know, like poetically, her working at the money store is a reflection of like how she is trapped in her personal life, right? Like she's constantly taking payday loans on Scott, to the point where he's just completely useless as a husband because he's spending all his time murdering women, apparently.
Yeah. There's a lot of taking your misery out on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And other people who caused it. It's
Right.
always misdirected.
Yeah. Who knew we could learn so much from horror novels? I like it.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I wanted to make sure that we brought up, and now it has flown the entire coop because I got into Zen things, and then my brain let go of everything, and now my brain's empty.
Amazing. Love that it's trained to do that.
What was it? Because I looked at the clock and I was like, oh, we're getting close to 30 minutes. I had better make sure that I talk about... And then it's just white noise. It's static. What was it? Oh, that's so frustrating. This is the least worked up I've been in a Charlene Elsby episode of Writing the Rapids, I feel. I feel like normally I get like really, really worked up.
I feel like we hit a really good groove.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to distract you from your thinking.
No, it's like I'm looking at Legos that my daughter has left on the shelf or on my desk, and I'm hoping that they're going to tell me that they're just going to animate and say, you wanted to talk about...
They're just going to assemble into a word.
That's little figurines. They're not even... Are they Lego? I don't know. That is, again, a very visual thing for an audio podcast. You can't, and I won't show you. Fuck. Wow, that's embarrassing too. I've been doing this long enough that I feel like I should be able to like bring it to something. I think what it is we've talked so much that I'm now comfortable like not filling the space.
I love that for us. I love that for us.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know. Come to VoidCon, November 2026.
Go to VoidCon. Yes, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. At the hotel, voidcon.org is now active.
Yeah.
For registrants and all kinds of miscreants.
It's not that expensive, it seems, to stay at that hotel. So, who knows? I'll be there. Will my wife and child be there? I don't know. We're gonna have to work that out.
We'll be in suspense until we find out if Joe's wife and child are coming.
It was my wife went on a bachelorette trip last year. She was gone for like 4 days. Mm-hmm. And I'm an enlightened male. I can take care of a child by myself for 4 days. It was fine. She was healthy. She didn't get hurt. She ate 3 meals a day and we had fun. I planned little trips for us. We went to the museum. It was great. But man, oh man, I don't wish a single parenthood on anybody. Like it's so exhausting. And I missed my wife and she missed me. And that's the annoying thing about our relationship is that we like being around each other. People hate that about us. So who knows? Maybe I'll make her come.
Kids love the void. They just came from there. They still have like those lingering memories of being from the abyss.
My kid never had too many of those, like when I was alive before, sort of things that were like really creepy and specific. It's more just like when I was 16, I went to high school, and it's like, oh, you're just processing how your life is going to go. You're using what is that prophetic past tense. Mm-hmm. I really wish I knew what I wanted to say about your book. It's good. People should buy it. Fuck, dude. This is so embarrassing. This is the most embarrassing episode of Writing the Rapids ever. What do you have to say about your book? Is there anything we missed? Is there anything you're dying? Imagine yourself 3 hours from now.
I just think it's so fun. Like, I tried to be like a little less academic and it's a little more relatable. Like, I think it's a good book.
I think so too.
I think it's a very booky book.
This is up there for me with The Devil Thinks I'm Pretty. In terms of like how fun it was to read, to get through. I thought our protagonist's misery was fun, and like not super overbearing. Like I said, like as far as like people could take this at very face value and be like, this is a good for her book. Like I definitely do think that if you are looking for one of those like catharsis reads, if you're in a certain place in your life and a certain category of society, I think that this book will feel good for you in the way that all Charlene Elsby books feel good for you. And I feel like if you're that type of person, you know who I'm talking about, or you know what I'm talking about. And then if you're someone like me, a domesticated middle-class male,
domesticated.
Dude, I'm so. Don't let the Cramps shirt fool you. I am 100% dad mode. I keep finding jorts in my cabinet, and I have to throw them away. The cardigans just started appearing, and I don't know where they came from, but at least they're comfortable. The jorts and the white New Balances. I got a bin full of them. They just keep appearing. They're generating in my house. This is still very fun. And again, like I said, like I feel like the protagonist, I think about which one was the one where the husband kills himself and then the wife goes and...
That was our first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I love kind of gauging any sort of book like this. I love gauging my response to it versus my response to that book. And I was in, again, very different place with regard to masculinity and contemporary feminism. We're in like a really weird place with online feminism. And so like I feel like a lot of things I was kind of pulling from the book or thinking that book was saying were echoes of things I was seeing on Instagram that the book was like not saying, right? And
there's a market of good for her.
There certainly is.
And I would encourage that up to a point.
Yeah.
But she is not good.
No.
No.
No, she isn't.
There should be a point reading this book where you're like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. I feel like the quintessential good for her is Amy Dunn from Gone Girl. And I feel like specifically the movie version. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious what your take on I don't know, the classification of good for her, or specifically the movie version of Gone Girl. Oh,
she was evil. Absolutely. And it was like good for her, but that's like part of our, if we're going to talk about advancements in feminism, then that is the freedom to be evil. Mm-hmm. It's not like to unleash the lower nature. But man, not a morally good character.
No.
That's for sure. It is relatable because it's like, yeah, when you're in the shit, you want to like act out in any plausible way. And then it's like, she did it and it's like good for you. But it's like not good.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do a good thing. It was not, the Aristotelian form of the good was not involved there. No. It just feels good because you relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you feel a similar misery and you're like, this is how you can dissipate it.
Mm-hmm. I remember, we're going long, but I don't care. I got back on Tumblr for the Dark Academia mood boards. Like that's it. Like Whimsigoth PNGs and whatever. But whatever way the algorithm works, feeds me like hashtag girl blogging stuff. And I find it really fascinating. I have no judgment against it at this point because, again, I've become much more comfortable expressing confidently the notion that I'm a good husband, a good father, a good man, whatever. Nobody can say, no, you're not, unless they knew me when I was 19, at which point I'll say, you don't know me at all, if that's the version of me you knew. But like, it's fascinating to watch because, one, I'm assuming that this is actually 14-year-old girls posting this stuff. It's the axiom that I'm working with is that these are actually teenage girls actually girl blogging these girl blogs. And I was going through it, like, one, I kind of dig the aesthetic, just in general, the sort of like bruised knees ballerina thing is an interesting interplay of light and dark, hard and soft, whatever. Like, it's fun. But I was trying to think, like, what is the boy version? What is boy blogging? What does that look like? And I think what it is like Sigma Grindset, Patrick Bateman posting sort of thing. I think Patrick Bateman is the Amy Dunn of teenage boys.
Okay.
And it's not clean. It's not a clean tether. but I think it's there. I think it is. I think if we are going to accept that these are reactions to contemporary capitalist society that are not revolutionary, even if they do, in the case of girl blogging, tend to sometimes use feminism speak or psychology speak, which certain branches of feminism have largely integrated into their lexicon. That like the sort of Sigma grind set Patrick Bateman posting thing for boys is similar. It is a non-revolutionary reaction to how miserable capitalism is. Like, well, if the only thing I can do under capitalist society is just get to the top of the ladder, and that's the best chance I have, then Patrick Bateman certainly is there because he is unburdened by worrying about all the things that normal people have to worry about, and he is successful, and then he can also sublimate the misery of capitalism by murdering people. And then so similarly on the girl blogging side, it's like, you know, you're growing up as a teenage girl, you're understanding all these pressures that are put on you systemically, and then being reinforced by male peers or fathers or uncles or whoever. And the idea isn't to like necessarily boss babe your way out of it, but to just kind of become a bed rotting, you know, ballerina sort of thing. Like this, the complexity of it is definitely deeper than the Bateman posting thing, because it is this desire for like a pure girlhood while also acknowledging and maybe romanticizing the, you know, cigarettes behind the dollar store while I'm giving my first blowjob sort of thing. Like, it's very fascinating because of how
I want to see this girl blogging stuff. When you first started talking about it, I'm like, oh, girl blogging, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Just some innocent shit, and then you compared it to Patrick Bateman, and now I'm like, I need to go look up some.
Yeah. And it like the hashtag girl blogging stuff, there's a lot of Lana Del Rey, a lot of Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan, a lot of Sofia Coppola stuff. It gets darker. You can go into a thing called Morute, which is a portmanteau of morbid and cute, which is much darker and like kind of affected me much more deeply because it honestly felt like stuff I personally was not supposed to be seeing. And then also it gets weird. It gets into like older men fetishes and like daddy dom little girl stuff in another direction, which like, again, like, I don't know, like if you're saying I'm just like Lolita or I'm just like Lizzie Grant, then I can see how you would go in that pathways, but it's certainly not anything that I'm interested in seeing, especially like some of the blogs that I have like straight up blocked because I'm like, either this is a child who is going to get herself into a lot of trouble, or this is a Fed trying to catch people and get them into a lot of trouble. Like,
damn,
nobody should be advertising that they're 14 and then posting these things on Tumblr. Like, in 2026, this is straight up either like someone who is very at risk or somebody who is trying to fulfill a quota.
Oof, maybe I don't want to go there. I'm sure my algorithms are already fucked because we just talked about it for a few minutes.
Yeah. I don't know how much of it there is like on Instagram or whatever. Like, it feels very Tumblr-y to me. And I like anthropologically fascinating. And I feel like there's a lot of ladies you and I know that definitely could be advertising some novels on Tumblr using those hashtags and be making some money.
Ooh, untapped market. Let's go.
I honestly think that it would be worth it to do some experimental indie press marketing on Tumblr.
Would you do some like, sneak in there and like plug some books for me?
Maybe like my Tumblr account is like very bare. Like again, I'm straight up there for for X-Files memes and dark academia mood boards. It's but so somebody should do it. Somebody should do it.
If somebody is listening,
make a
Tumblr stuff. Not on there.
Not, like Instagram's got Taylor Swift as books. We need Lana Del Rey as books, but on Tumblr, make that shit happen. Natalie Portman as books. Sofia Coppola as books. Go. We took a weird path. This is a weird episode. It's very strange. But I feel good about it. Got there.
Taylor Swift as books plug coming.
There it is.
Yep. Amy's making it.
Do you feel good, Charlene?
I feel great.
You feel good about this?
I feel like we accomplished a lot today. I learned a lot.
I monologued. That was the other thing, and I've completely failed. I was, mind prepping for this. And I was like, I feel like during these episodes with Charlene, I speak way more than she does. I need to not make that happen. And then I monologued for 15 minutes about an obscure Tumblr hashtag.
This is for general education purposes.
I don't know. Maybe, again,
people need to know.
There's your next book. Straight up, no joke, I think The Devil Thinks I'm Pretty would kill on Tumblr. I think it would kill on Tumblr. 100%. I know this is like 3 rejoinders ago and I'm still stuck on that book. But one, as we discussed, that book was written for me specifically.
Yes.
I don't care what anybody says. My name is not mentioned in the text of the book at all, but that book was written specifically for me. And to like, even if it wasn't, it's a fantastic book, as is Poor Damned Souls. I want to end by talking about it. I like the way that you sectioned the book, with each section being one of the words of the title that also like worked thematically with the content of the section. I thought that was really clever.
Ooh, yeah. Fun fact. So that wasn't a thing. I had a completely different title, and then I had to come up with a new one because people started using the word triptych all over the place, and I didn't want to be with like the next one. So came up with this, and then the editor, I got Emma Laudeman to edit it, and he was like, you could section the titles Poor Damned Souls, and I'm like, yes, I could, and then I did.